Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the Pacific States.
Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, the Senate and the House of Representatives of the Pacific States of America. In fulfilling my duty to report the State of the Union, I am honored to inform you that the American people are in higher spirits now than they have been since the market crash of 1929. While the starry-eyed revolutionaries of New Orleans and Chicago are forced to hide in bunkers from endless nights of bombing, our prosperity remains securely protected by our pilots in the Mojave skies, our sailors in the Pacific Ocean, and our soldiers in the Rocky Mountains. Because of our heads of the armed forces, we have beaten back both the Federalists and Longists at the Battle of Denver. Our Navy achieves victory after victory over the enemy fleets thanks to our many great admirals, and our Air Force dominates the western skies. Despite these times and this war being characterized by disunity and civil discontent, our Union has never been more closely united. This nation, built on the rule of law and propelled by our principles of freedom, has never been more deeply determined to face the duties it has been tasked with. The response of the people of the Pacific has never before been so vigorously passionate. Even as the populists of the East have convinced our fellow Americans that democracy is but a failed experiment, we not only say otherwise, we have proven otherwise. Through the order of civility and the rule of law, we have fulfilled the very promises that the militarists who oppose us claim they will fulfill. Through a multi-partisan effort, the bright deal passed by both the House and Senate last year has seen the average citizen wealthier than before, more secure than ever before, and more free than ever before. However, this civil war is not without tough decisions. Many say that tough decisions is where democracies fail, due to the bureaucratic compromise. All styles of governance. The Kaiser in Germany stood complacent while his markets collapsed. The Emperor in China stood complacent while his empire fell to civil war. Wilson stood complacent while the Weltkrieg burned through Europe. Hoover stood complacent while our economy bled and our people divided. Complacency is a human fault, not a democratic one, and I take a firm stand against allowing ourselves to fall to the same weakness that caused this civil war. Our actions must be quick, and they must be decisive. Washington understood this. Lincoln understood this. And we understand this. The syndicalists and longists prey on those tired of inaction. The tyrants of the East hoped that their lightning advances and revolutionary passion would keep us afraid, distracted, and divided. They were wrong. Their schemes have failed. Their speed and vigor did not intimidate us out of a confrontation, but instead gave the American people the fighting spirit they need to face the beasts of the CSA and AUS head on. As we enter the second year of the Civil War, we are waking up to the stark realization that this is not destined to be a short war, as the demagogues and politicians alike promised. I know that this can be hard. I know that there were promises of our boys being home by Christmas, and I know that there are many mothers, daughters, sisters, wives, and friends waiting for them to return home. And I give my deepest condolences to all those who have lost people due to the conflict the warlords in the East have started. On this note, I would like to personally thank our troops in the East, sitting on top of the freezing Rocky Mountains, watching vigilantly east over the plains to the horizon. The conditions these men and women suffer through for their family and their country leaves me without a doubt that those fighting for our country today are without a doubt the greatest Americans this country has seen since the War of Independence. These men and women have given up everything to fight for us, and it is our responsibility to give them a home worth returning to. So, I am calling upon Congress to pass an extensive veteran retirement and employment plan for our soldiers currently on the field. We must remind our soldiers what they are fighting for, not just the vague principles of democracy and freedom, but for the very spirit of America. They are fighting to come home and live the life of freedom they are promised by the Constitution of this nation. As our men freeze on mountain tops and blister under the desert sun, what keeps them going is the hope for a life of peace and prosperity, of quiet and calm. As it is their job to fight tyrants with bullets, it is our job to fight on the home front. And I would like to take a moment to personally thank those who fight every day behind the front lines. Construction workers, assembly line manufacturers, collectively known as the forces of labor. These laborers have been undoubtedly the greatest victims of the Civil War. They were those hurt worst by the economic crisis of the past decade, and now they are made to be the scapegoat of enemies of the syndicalists. In the hubris of the CSA, they claimed to represent the laborers of America, and by extension doomed the economic backbone of our nation to be lambasted by their very brothers and sisters, not just in America, but in the West itself. I stand in unity with the workers and laborers of this nation, so long as they're loyal not to the flag, but to the people of their country. So long as they stand not with those who seek to destroy democracy, but with those who are fighting to preserve it, they are as patriotic as the average politician. They make up the counterpart to the average soldier. They work together to achieve a cohesive machine that will, in the end, restore the rule of law to this nation. But I want to speak a few words of encouragement to those disheartened by this long war. I know it doesn't seem like it, but progress is being made. Information from the front is varied and sometimes unreliable. But no matter how the situation may seem now, I have full confidence in the ability of this administration to win this war, not solely based upon the military and industrial capabilities of our economy, but of the inherent structure of our government and the support from our populace. The fact of the matter is that not Long, nor Reed, nor MacArthur are truly able to win. Maybe by conquest. This administration will be exiled, captured, or otherwise disbanded by force of military strength. But we still would not have lost, because our democracy grants us a weapon more potent than any bomb, more enduring than any fortress, and more powerful than any rifle. We are not bound to the whims of one man, the ambitions of a demagogue. We are a nation not of the one, but of the many. If New Orleans falls and Long is captured, then the Union State is but a chicken without its head, an administration without a direction or director. The syndicalists can't exist without Reed. The Federalists cannot exist without one general or another. That is what tyrants lack. The very thing that our founding fathers made as a cornerstone of our democracy, the transition of power. The warlords who oppose us only use their guise of ideology as a motor behind what is truly a cult of personality. This is why we cannot lose. We cannot lose because democracy is not reliant on one demagogue. not one sole person. Their passion for their beliefs burn bright, but they burn quickly. Before they will even realize it, the match that is their people's support will have burnt down to their finger, and they will feel the heat burning their skin. Like I previously stated, we have made great progress in just the year since I was inaugurated. Since I last updated this Congress on the State of the Union, the Bright Deal, coupled with the demand for supplies for the front, has seen the economy, for the first time in a decade, consistently grow. Unemployment is down since the declaration of the emergency that formed this provisional government. Our production is increasing on a month-to-month basis. The Dagda plan included within the Bright Deal has provided hundreds of thousands of jobs to unemployed Americans, and the policies raising wages and supporting small businesses has successfully transitioned this economy to wartime production. Even the smaller local businesses providing specialty equipment to the front lines. Many feared the Civil War would end the West's prosperity, but I am honored to report that this is not the case. In contrast, our economy is prospering. In the past months, we have also had our first real congressional elections, and I am proud to say that the merits of democracy have never been so clear. We have seen new faces and old in the House and Senate, and the Congress continues to pass essential landmark bills. From the Radio Rights Act, which protects our freedoms, even in these times of great moral conflict, to the Desperate Defense Act, which was finally amended and passed through our Congress to give our nation a comprehensive Plan Z. But now we must look to the future. And as we look to the future, the most logical next step to continue our economy's prosperity is a more widely accessible education system, which will lead to a more educated populace. In the coming months, the Second Pacific Congress's focus should be on both reforming and funding public education, as well as increasing funding towards homelessness programs and either halting or viciously restricting the foreclosures for vulnerable families hit by the troubles of the war. I have full confidence that the farmer labor senators and representatives will be able to spearhead these reforms, and with a multi-partisan effort, pass them. And as we look to the future, it becomes clear that if we are to stand against this great evil that opposes us, we cannot stand alone. It is not enough to only stand with our valiant allies abroad, such as the exiled British royal family in Canada, the Empire of Japan, safeguarding the Pacific in our stead, and the Dominion of Australasia, who proudly protects the interests of democracy and freedom in the Far East. We must now look inwards at the other factions within the Civil War, lest we think we are fighting this alone. As we speak, there are ongoing negotiations with the United States of America and New England about the formation of an alliance, founded on the principles of freedom and democracy to topple Long's tyranny. We must be open to this alliance and be ready to lead the march to liberate our countrymen. However, it is of the utmost importance that this is not just a battle of ideologies and forms of government. This is the greatest battle the American people have ever been faced with, a battle not only for freedom or tyranny, but good versus evil. And with good and evil, there has never been a successful compromise between the two. That is why the Treaty of Victoria, which tested our principles severely and our adherence to democracy, must be dismantled totally. The Union State must be dismantled totally, and hatred, blind, unceasing hatred, must be dismantled totally. Democracy is non-negotiable. Freedom is non-negotiable, and humanity is non-negotiable. We are not uprooting the very foundations of this nation to return to the status quo we had before. No, we are fighting for a new America, where all can enjoy the fruits of liberty, the wine of freedom, and the bread of prosperity. not just those who were born into prosperity, but for all. Only absolute victory will suffice for the principles we stand for. This is the greatest battle of our time, and we must fight it as such. If we do not achieve total victory in our great confrontation with our nation's oldest ills and deepest evils, if we compromise so that we can call it a day, then that, truly, is no victory at all. Thank you.